They smiled at me in front of everyone. But their smiles weren't warm. They were sharp, like knives wrapped in velvet. "You're just a leech," my mother hissed under her breath as she leaned in to hug me. Her perfume was sweet, expensive, the kind she only wore for events, but her words stung more than any slap could. This was supposed to be my moment. My graduation. My proof that years of working late nights, taking extra shifts at the diner, and studying until my eyes burned, hadn't been for nothing. I rented the community hall for the evening. Nothing fancy, but I decorated it myself with string lights and photos from my college years. Friends had brought cake, my classmates were laughing, and for the first time in years, I felt proud of myself. But in the corner of the room, they stood. My parents. Staring at me like I was some stranger who had stumbled into their private event. I noticed my father leaning close to my mother, his lips barely moving. Her eyes darted toward me, then away. And then, she reached into her purse. She pulled out a small, silver flask. The kind she always kept for special occasions. I thought nothing of it at first. She loved her little sips of expensive liquor. But then I watched her, as she walked toward the refreshment table. As her hand hovered over my cup. I was across the room when my best friend MIA waved at me. She held her phone up, mouthing, "Selfie." I laughed and started toward her, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw my mother's hand tilt that silver flask. The clear liquid dripped into my cup. 1, 2, 3 drops. Then she gave the cup a little swirl. Her eyes scanned the room, making sure no one was watching. But she didn't see me. She didn't know I had turned my head just in time. A chill slid down my spine. I told myself I was overreacting. Maybe she was just spiking my drink for fun, like she sometimes did at family gatherings. But then, I remembered her words earlier. "You're just a leech." I reached MIA and forced a smile. We took our selfie, but my mind was elsewhere. When I returned to the refreshment table, my cup sat exactly where I left it, except for one thing. The rim was wet, and my parents were gone from their corner. I picked up the cup. It smelled faintly sweet, but there was something else. Something metallic. "Hey, you okay?" It was Jacob, a guy from my chemistry class. He had a knack for noticing when people looked nervous. "Yeah, just..." I paused. "Actually, can you smell this?" I handed him the cup. He frowned. "This smells weird." "What is that?" "Almond." My stomach turned. Almond. I had read somewhere that cyanide sometimes had a faint almond scent. I told myself that was just true crime nonsense. But when I glanced across the room, my father was watching me. Not smiling. Not clapping. Just watching. I didn't drink it. Instead, I set the cup down casually, pretending I was just saving it for later. But my hands were trembling. If this was what I thought it was, my own parents had just tried to poison me. At my graduation party, I needed to be smart. If I confronted them now, they'd deny it. If I threw it away, I'd lose the only proof. So I decided to switch it. I spotted the dessert table where a row of identical cups stood. Everyone had the same disposable, gold-rimmed glasses. Perfect. I picked up a fresh one, filled it with soda, then quietly set it down right next to mine. Then, without anyone noticing, I swapped them. My poisoned cup slid into my bag, hidden inside a paper sleeve. Now, what to do with it? Across the room, my mom laughed loudly with her friends. Her laughter was too sharp, too deliberate. My dad stood beside her, whispering something in her ear, making her smirk. I knew that smirk. It meant they thought they'd already won. I went to MIA, who instantly noticed my pale face. "What happened?" she whispered. "MIA. I think my parents just tried to..." I swallowed. "Hurt me." Her eyes went wide. "What?" "Sure. I need your help." I told her everything, the flask, the switch, the smell. She didn't even hesitate. We should get this tested. Right now. Luckily, Mia's older brother worked at a small private lab. She texted him, "Emergency. Can you test something for me?" He replied almost instantly, "Bring it." I slipped out of the party without my parents noticing, thanks to Mia creating a distraction. She accidentally spilled cake on my aunt's dress, which caused a commotion big enough for me to sneak out the back. The night air was cold, and my heart was pounding as we drove. The lab was empty when we arrived. Mia's brother, Alex, greeted us, eyeing the cup in my hands. "This better not be some prank." "It's not," I said firmly. "Just, please check it." He nodded and got to work. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, he returned, face serious. "There's a dangerous concentration of cyanide in this. If you'd drunk it, you wouldn't be here right now." My stomach twisted. Even though I suspected it, hearing it confirmed made me feel sick. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't some overreaction. My parents really wanted me dead. And that's when something inside me snapped. If they wanted a war, I'd give them one. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even shake. Instead, I felt something cold. A quiet, calculated rage. If my parents wanted me gone, then fine. But they were going to regret not finishing the job. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen like any other day. My mom was making coffee. My dad was reading the paper. Both looked up, surprised to see me alive and well. "Morning," I said with a casual smile. Their faces flickered, confusion for just a second, before they plastered on fake smiles. "How was the party, honey?" Mom asked sweetly. "Oh, amazing," I said, sitting down. "Best night ever. I'll never forget it." The words were true, just not in the way she thought. That day, I started collecting evidence. Mia helped me install tiny cameras around the house, hidden inside decorative plants, behind books, even in the smoke detector. I recorded every conversation, every whisper, every smirk, and it didn't take long to catch them. One night, I heard them in the kitchen. Dad's voice, "She's still here. We need to try again before she moves out." Mom's reply, "Don't worry. I have another plan." I had enough. It was time to make my move. I called my uncle, my dad's younger brother, the only relative who ever treated me kindly. I told him everything. He didn't hesitate. "Record it all," he said. "We'll make sure they can't hurt you again." My parents were obsessed with their image in the community. Every Sunday, they bragged to friends about our perfect family. So, I sent anonymous emails to their closest friends with short, clipped audio from the kitchen conversation, just enough to make them doubt my parents. By the following week, whispers had started. My parents noticed people avoiding them, but they didn't know why. I waited until my parents hosted their next big dinner party. The dining table was set with candles, expensive china, and their most important guests, the neighbors, Dad's boss, and Mom's charity board. Halfway through dinner, I stood up. "Before dessert, I'd like to show you all something special," I announced. I walked to the TV, connected my phone, and pressed play. The footage appeared on screen, my mom pouring liquid from her flask into my drink, my dad whispering, "Make sure she finishes it." The cold laughter afterward. Gasps filled the room. One guest dropped their fork. My dad's boss turned pale. My parents froze, unable to speak. "This," I said calmly, "is what they did to me, at my graduation party." I could see it in their eyes, the realization that their perfect mask had shattered in front of everyone who mattered. I'd already given the poisoned cup to the police through my uncle. The lab results were undeniable. Within days, both my parents were arrested for attempted murder. The headlines hit like wildfire, local couple charged in poison plot against daughter. Their friends? Gone. Their reputation? Destroyed. I thought that would be enough. But then I realized, true revenge isn't just about justice. It's about making them live with what they've done. In prison visits, which they requested out of desperation, I'd sit across from them and smile. "You raised me to be smart," I'd say. "Guess I learned too well." They'd glare, but there was nothing they could do. They had lost everything, their freedom, their friends, their power. And me? I finally moved out. I got my own apartment, my own life, my own peace. Sometimes, late at night, I remember that moment at my graduation party. The smell of almonds, the fake smiles, the whispered word leech.
But then I remind myself, they were wrong. I'm not a leech. I'm a survivor. And I made sure they'd never forget it.
Six months later,
The trial was over.
my parents were convicted, 20 years each. I should have felt free, and I did, for a while. But revenge has a strange side effect. Once you've tasted it, you start wondering, was it enough? One rainy evening, I got a letter in the mail.
No return address.
Just my name, neatly typed. Inside was a single sheet of paper. They didn't act alone.
My blood ran cold. I thought I'd ended it.
But that one sentence opened a door I didn't even know existed.
I took the letter to my uncle.
He read it twice, his brow furrowing. "There's something I never told you," he said. "When you were little, your parents had a huge fight with your grandfather over his will.
He wanted to leave the family business to you.
They didn't agree."
The pieces started clicking.
The sudden change in how they treated me at 16. The way certain relatives stopped visiting. The whispers I'd overheard at family gatherings.
Someone else had been pulling strings all along.
I decided to dig deeper. Through old records, bank statements, and even social media posts from years ago. That's when I found him, a man I'd only seen in one faded photo.
My mom's cousin, living in another state.
And from the looks of his recent luxury purchases, very, very rich.
I messaged him under a fake account.
Told him I had information that could protect him from police investigation. We arranged a meeting in a quiet coffee shop.
The second he saw me, his smirk vanished.
"You look just like your grandfather," he muttered.
We talked for 2 hours.
Or rather, he talked. He bragged about how he'd manipulated my parents, promised them a cut if they got rid of me, and how he'd already started rewriting the family trust in his favor. What he didn't know, my phone was recording the entire conversation. 2 weeks later, he was in handcuffs.
And me?
I finally inherited what my grandfather had wanted me to have all along: the family business, the property, and the security to never rely on anyone like them again. Some nights, I lie awake wondering, if that letter hadn't come, would I have ever known the truth? And more importantly, who sent it? That, dear listener, is a mystery for another day. Because in this family, every revenge story is just the beginning of another.